Everybody. I'm, as I said before, I'm Laura Bramley. I am the Enterprise Coordinator for Southend and Thurrock Schools. I have worked for the Hub for over 2.5 years now. So I've come across lots of different approaches to work experience. So that's why I thought I'd do this presentation. All of us will be doing different what works on different focuses across the academic year, which is all on our website, which I'm sure your enterprise coordinators have shared. If not, I will be sharing after this meeting with everybody. And we've also got Alison Lindsay, their assistant head teacher over at St Thomas More School in Southend. And she will be talking about her fantastic programme over at the school as well. So the agenda today is the overview of Benchmark 6 and how it can be done across all year groups, work experience programs in practice, and a Q&A. So any questions you've got, just throw them out there. But I do want everybody to kind of talk and be interactive. I absolutely hate it when I go to webinars and I just sit there and listen. So I've got a question for you all. How do you do experiences of the workplace in your school, or do you not do them at all? And that's completely fine as well. So if anybody's got any answers, please let me know. Or yeah. Or I will say somebody's name.
We've got a couple typing, Laura.
Oh, okay, perfect. You're more than welcome to go off mute and say how you do experiences of the workplace. Paul, have you got an example of how you do it? You're the only school I can see on my screen.
Well, only day 12 in post. So,
Exactly.
however, we do have some year 8s on duty today, so we're giving them, they'll be put onto Compass Plus at some point. Yeah, so my knowledge is limited, hence why I'm here. But that's the thing we're doing.
Great. And Adam?
So we've got one from the chat from Anthony. They buy in different days learning skills around via send skills provision, so that they build it around the skills.
That's great. That's a lovely approach. So yeah, there's lots of different approaches to experiences of the workplace, and I will go over them now with you all. So Benchmark 6, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what Benchmark 6 is, because most of you will know it is, and this comes straight from the CEC website. It's every student should have the first-hand experiences of the workplace through workplace visits, work shadowing, or work experience to help their exploration of career opportunities and expand their networks. So all your students by the age of 16, so the end of year 11, should have at least one experience of the workplace to go by to hit this benchmark, and then by the age of 18 or by the end of their study program, whatever comes first, every student should have at least one experience of the workplace in addition to any part-time jobs they have. So frequently asked question that I get asked is experiences of the workplace a traditional work experience placement? So that 2-week block that quite a lot of schools do, or the 1-week block in year 10, normally in the summer. And the answer is no. It can be done in many different ways, shapes and forms, and I'll show you now. So the Gatsby Benchmark people say that experiences of the workplace is work visits, work shadowing, or work experience. It's important to approach this benchmark with an understanding of what work experience can be done in many ways across all different key stages. You don't have to save it just for your year 10 students. You can do different ways of doing work experience for your lower years. Some schools will do it just for year 8s, and they'll do like take your child to work day or things like that, or they might have insight days throughout the school. And also virtual work experience is extremely popular. And these are just a few different examples of how you can do it. So job shadowing, we've got quite a few schools that will do, as Paul said, the duty student. If it's a meaningful experience, so a student can do like a form, like you could do a form for the student, so they have to ask and find out all these different information about working in the school, because working in a school is one of education is one of the biggest employers nationally. Oh, loads of people coming through now. Sorry. And you got work shadowing. You can also, for example, have a group that if you've got a student that's interested in the PE department, they could shadow the PE department for a day. There's lots of different ways of doing work experience internally. You've got work experience, and you've got take your child to work day, where a student can go out to the world of work through their family, friends, aunts, uncles, mum, dad, grandparents, carers. And there's lots of different ways of doing take your child to work day. It could be like your best friend's dad, mum, aunt, people that are around the student. They could go and experience the world of work for that day. Workplace visits, so incorporating into school trips, and there's virtual work experience programs that are promoted across lots of different platforms like Speakers for Schools, Spring Pod, and many other apply as well. And I'll send over some information of all the different ones that I know of locally that the team have collated as well. So building work experience, experiences of the workplace across all years. So it can be done across all different year groups, all different key stages, but I've broken it down into how I've seen it done across different schools. It can be done in curriculum. So say you've got a geography trip to, and which is very popular, to the water, angling water. They can do like a day in the life of someone that works there and shadow them. I've seen that done in different schools. You've got workplace visits, so students that can go to different places in their local area, experience the environment and have meaningful interactions with employees. I've got a school that's got an autism base that took their students from that base out to a local architect's firm, and they spent half a day there finding out all about the different jobs and what their environment's like working there. We've had it with, they've taken groups of students to IPCO, for example, and had got to see what it's like working in a engineering firm, because it's not just working on the floor, there's HR, marketing, finance, everything in that one building. So they get to meet all different people and all the different pathways into there. I explained about job shadowing, but that's also done quite a lot in Key Stage 3, as it's quite a nice introduction into what different careers are around you. You've got virtual work experience, you've got traditional placements and volunteering. Quite a lot of schools forget that they've got volunteering programs, or the students are doing volunteering outside of work. You can track that on Campus Plus, and that can go towards experiences of the workplace. You've got supported experience, so some students might not feel that they can go outside of school to do work experience, so you can do it in-house. Which is becoming quite a popular thing to do, and you can do it in lots of different departments as well, depending on what the student's interested in. There's different kinds of programs that you can use. So you've got employer / industry-led workplace activities, where they'd come into the school and they might run their own taster day at the school or open door event. You've got workplace experience programs, structured programs that you can buy into basically and have it come into the school. And then you've got also the Greater Essex Careers Hub Open Doors program, which is in its second year of being one. We did a test a year in Southend, and then last year we expanded it out to the whole of Essex, and it's a very hugely successful program that supports young people into choosing their best next step. And what it does is it's very much a trip out to a local school, not local school, a local business, and they get to find out all about the different jobs and opportunities within there. Examples include local councils, and Southend theatres have done it, including other theatres are now looking at next academic year as well. And once we have more information about that, we can share across. So the different providers that can help. So there's so many different providers. This is just from a simple Google search. Speakers for Schools and SpringPod worked together last year on doing a few days of virtual work experience for students across England. You've got Channel 4 Skills Work Experience, which is a fantastic program, very hard to get into, but once you get into it, I believe it's been very popular across schools. The NHS Careers website and the 351 shows all the different virtual work experience opportunities and work experience opportunities in the NHS. And British Airways does work experience during certain times of the year as well. And Barclays also does virtual work experience alongside Specsavers. So there's a few different examples. I also want to highlight My Pocket Skill, which is a database where students get to do paid work experience from the age of 13. So definitely have a look at that. That's a new provider that I've just come across. So I'll be sending out all that information to you as well, so you can have a look. And the students are actually interviewed beforehand to make sure that they're right for the roles and stuff. So it gives them a real insight into what it's like working. And that is me. There's like a whistle-stop tour of Benchmark 6. If there was a couple comments in the thing. No, there isn't. I was wrong. Fine. And I'll pass you over to Alison from St Thomas More.
Thank you. I have a bit of a presentation as well, so if I can share, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just stop presenting and you should be able to as well.
Lovely. Bear with me. Okay. Right, can everybody see my screen okay? It won't allow me to do this.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, thank you. Ah, there we go. All right. Okay, so we've taken, I've only been in the role a couple of years myself, actually, but I was actually quite fortunate that some things had already been already in place, to be honest. My predecessor had already got some sort of work experience up and running, so I was fortunate that that already happened. But what we've done at St Thomas More is try to sort of like start to include and encourage the students to start right from year 7. I'll not go through that because you've already done that, Laura, so I'll go on here. So basically what we do is we offer all our year 7 pupils the chance to go out on a Take Your Child to Work day. Now we call it Take Your Son to Work day because we have a boys' school, but it falls on the 4th Thursday in April every year. It was started as an American thing, but actually it seems to work really well. And actually a lot of parents, I think we had about 50% probably of our year 7s went out. We'd like to improve that this year. I think, as Laura mentioned earlier, sometimes parents get very stuck in the fact that, oh, I haven't got a job that's suitable, so they put the children in. Some parents aren't working, so they can't take their children to work. But there are lots and lots of different options and so on that you can actually use. Grandparents, aunties, uncles, friends of the family, or whatever. Also, it's quite useful to know as well that basically, like my own son went on a Take Your Son to Work day with my husband, but his parents both work in the police and safeguarding and child protection and so on, so it wasn't really suitable for them. So his friend went along with my son as well. So it's a good idea to sort of like, if you've got friends that have got parents that are able to take them, and they might be able to take more than one as well. And we log that onto Unifrog for everybody. We met, some people have mentioned, I think somebody mentioned earlier that they do duty pupil. We started this last year, and it's a really good opportunity. Again, just we use year 8 because they know the school, they know how to get around the place. We basically give them jobs such as putting up posters. We get them to do notice boards. We get them to meet and greet visitors to the school. We get them to run and collect things and collect children to come down from medical appointments and all that sort of thing. And that's been a really good experience experience for students, especially if they haven't had the opportunity to go out on the Take Your Son to Work Day. We try to make sure that we target the students first who have not had that opportunity. And that just means as well that everybody's getting a day's opportunity before we go into sort of later on into the actual week blocks of work experience and so on as well. We do traditional work experience as well, so that's in year 10. We have a 1 week block, and what we do is we launch it in October and give them plenty of warning for March. And even when you launch it 5 months in advance, you will still have people scrambling around at the very last minute, trying to get sort of placements in place. So what we do is we actually have, we launch it in October. We actually have SEND meetings with our EHCPs and our SEN students, and our looked after students as well. And what we do is we basically have meetings with them to try and help them along with getting a placement early. Often they need a bit more support in going into work experience placements. And we've had a real SEND focus this year, at the end of last year and this year, because actually our SEND provision is actually going up through the roof, to be honest. But what really helps is actually having the opportunity to, for those students to meet, to find out exactly what sort of skills they've got. And we are actually using a vocational profile to see what sort of things they're strong with, what sort of things they're not with. And that can help us choose a placement that's going to be suitable for them. Sometimes they like to go back to their old primary schools, which is quite nice to do and help out there. And it depends very much on the needs of each child. But we do use, for example, but it gives them, the SEND students, a chance as well to do the visit to the school or to the experience, wherever they're going to be placed, so that they can get used to travelling there and they know where to go and all that sort of thing. And again, it's quite an opportunity as well to get the parents involved in helping them to get to and from the work experience placement as well. As I said, we do a week in March, and just before they go, I do a health and safety presentation, just to remind them of silly things like, you know, not to have phones out and, you know, to be polite and to make sure you're dressed, and what happens if I'm not well on the day and who do I contact and all that sort of thing. So we go through all that sort of thing as well before they go on work experience. And then we usually have a little sort of booklet for them to work on as they are actually completing the work experience. They've done some prep work through the Unifrog system. We actually are lucky enough that we have personal development lessons. So before they go on work experience, they actually have the chance to complete some of what are their worries, what are their expectations and everything about work experience, and then they fill in a little bit of it while they're on work experience, and then they do a review at the end, and they can upload that to Unifrog as well, so they've got it all online. We do have another experience plan. Inevitably, especially we've got 180 in a year group, we will always have some students that maybe it doesn't work out, or that their work experience falls through in the last minute. So we usually end up with about between 5 and 10 pupils remaining at the school, or come back partway through the week, or can only get work experience for a few days. And what they do is then they have, similar to what Laura said, they have jobs within the school, so they can help out the PE department. We had boys on rotation helping out preparing in the canteen, which they actually loved. They hated the idea of wearing the hats to begin with, but I have to say they really got on well and really enjoyed it. They also do, as part of that week, they do virtual work experience that we sort of encourage them to do, Spring Pod, of which, to be honest, you can book some that are actually particularly for that week, or you can do some that are on demand. So whatever week you've got, there should be some opportunities for the students to do on-demand virtual work experience. That basically is able for them to use any time in that week, and it works out quite well when you can get computer rooms and things like that. We also do a CV workshop that week as well, and that basically is most of the stuff that we do for year 10. For year 9, actually, we do Duke of Edinburgh as part of our curriculum, and part of that is volunteering. So again, they will have experience within their volunteering for their Duke of Edinburgh. And we also invite in the National Crime Agency, who do a really good workshop. They talk about basically the different career opportunities and what jobs are in there. They talk about the different routes in, so the apprenticeship and degree apprenticeships and what different levels that you can go in on, which actually then becomes PAL compliant as well. But also they do an actual experience of trying to put puzzles together. They're all in different teams, and they basically try to work out what the puzzles are in their own sort of area, and then they realize they bring them all together and they can see who's guilty and who's not guilty and who you should be trying to track down, and they really enjoy it. For year sixth form, I know not everybody has a sixth form, but we do exactly the same thing that we do for year 10. They have a traditional work experience 1 week after their exams in July. So it's slightly different time. We launch it in February again. We'll still have, no matter, even if they're a bit more mature, they still are scrambling around near the end, some of them. And we use Unifrog for all paperwork, and I cannot tell you how much that has made a difference. The year 2 before, we had folders of paper, having to get things signed, and things got lost and so on, where the Unifrog, if you haven't seen how the work experience uses it, they basically log it onto Unifrog. They tell us what, the week that they're going. They can log on virtual work experience onto that as well. Once they've logged all that information, that basically emails the business, and the business then basically uploads all their health and safety data, their risk assessments, their insurance numbers, and all that sort of thing. That then is sent to the child's parents or carers, of which they've got to agree that that's where they're going and how they're getting there and all that sort of thing as well. And then that's sent back to us for final check-in. It makes it so much easier than people losing paperwork and not sending things through and so on. It really does make it easy, and it sends reminders as well. Again, like the year 10s, we have a year 12 programme of anybody who has fallen by the wayside, or we give them an experience of work. So some didn't actually do a work experience as such, but they did work shadowing, go into the Old Bailey because they were interested in law, and they had a visit that way and watched a number of different court cases and things like that, and they really enjoyed that. And we also do, as part of our core RE programme, because we're a Catholic school, they actually do a volunteering placement as part of that. So every student in year 12 will do a volunteering placement, and that could be helping out local food banks. That could be, working in a charity shop. It could be helping children read in a primary school. There's lots and lots of different opportunities there. And again, that's another really good experience for them, which is an experience of the workplace as such. We have tried to be using the visits and trips kind of idea. We came up with this idea a couple of years ago, and it has actually been brilliant, because what they do is, for all of our school trips and visits that we do, they have to have a focus. And they link it to a benchmark as well. So when our trips and visits, somebody wants to put on a trip to go to Adventure Island, for example, they have to put in what their focus of the school trip is, and we link it in with all of these different skills. So wellbeing, curriculum, is it vocational, is it world of work, is it experience in applying skills, options, whatever it is. So all of those have 3 foci basically for the school trip, and they have to choose them. The other aspect basically is using benchmarks as well. So again, we get them to sort of say, is it basically any linking curriculum to careers? Is it like, if it's a STEM related project, that would be Gatsby 4. If it's just it's maybe going to, for example, a uni trip, that can be Gatsby 7, with basically encounters with higher education and so on. But it really does give them, the people organising the trip, a focus about how can we make this a bit more career orientated as well. And it just basically then we cross-reference that at the end of the year, and that helps us build up our profile for Compass Plus as well. What I would say is, in terms of the things, that there is a document that, again, I'll send this PowerPoint to Laura, and there's a document in there. It's about 60 odd pages long, but there's a document in it that has lots of Gatsby 6 guidance in there anyway, which I think is really useful. What we've done as well as trying to get them to prepare it is creating a plan of events that can lead to employer encounters and experiences as well. So that can help some things. But in terms of what we do is preparation for going on to work experience and for building their soft skills and so on as well, and being ready for the workplace when they do eventually go, is we do year 8 and year 10 mock interviews. So not strictly speaking Gatsby 6, but at the same time, it really does help with their building those soft skills to basically help with applying to that. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a PD program that they've got time allocated an hour every week. So we do, in advance of that, we have preparation time where they have an hour to allocate to CV writing. And they also have another hour that they can allocate to completing an application form fully with references and all those sorts of things as well. Then they do the mock interviews. I think Laura's helped out actually on some of them before as well for me. And they basically then they feedback. They get feedback from the local employers. So we aim to have, never quite ends up like that, but I always aim to have about 30 employers. And the easiest way to get those is basically by asking your alumni, asking your parents and all that sort of thing. We often end up between 20 and 25, but that's fine because some people can speed through and do a couple of extra. But if you've got about 30, then if everybody does 6 interviews each, then that's basically the whole year group done. And that, again, that's really good preparation for going into work experience and stuff later, and how to hold yourself and how to present yourself and things like that. Just linking in with that interviews, we actually, for year 12 and year 13, we do the national interview month. We started that, the first one was this year in February 2024. It was National Interview Week, but they decided to expand it to a month because it was too much to cram into one particular week. And it's through your game plan. Tim Campbell, who was on The Apprentice, has actually got this company and he's sort of organising it. And you can sign up and it gives the students an opportunity to do online interviews. So again, just a slightly different slant on traditional mock interviews. Again, not strictly speaking Gatsby 6, but it does help them for being prepared for the world of work as well. One of the suggestions and one of the things I only found out the other day was actually that if you do use Unifrog as a way of tracking, if like us, you've got sixth form students that come from other schools, apparently you can actually get their old email addresses and you can merge all their experiences together. So you can track basically where they've come from since year 7, even though they have only joined you in the sixth form. So that's something we're currently doing because I did not realise you could do that until this week actually. So that's quite useful. And some key takeaways really about how to build the best work experience program that you can is build up a database of employers. I would say, to be honest, something like Unifrog or similar. I know there's other options as well, but that once you've got those employers on record, then you can actually email them the following year to say, are you willing to take another work experience student? And hopefully they'll all say yes. And that just gives you another head start for people that maybe have struggled to find their own placement. Contact any employers that you are in liaison with really early. Let them know which work experience weeks you've got. I know in the local area here, there's quite a few that seem to do the week beginning the 1st of July after exams. So there's not just 150 of our students going for work experience placements, but there's actually a couple of schools in the local area. So again, quite competitive. And again, if they want to do work experience, especially if it's in places like in London and so on, quite often they like to be contacted a lot earlier than the local people as well. Keep in touch with them after. It's always worthwhile sending out a mail shot to say thank you very much for taking one of our students, and we really appreciate your feedback. And use that as an opportunity to try and improve your program in future. Again, they appreciate just the fact that you've taken the time to actually email and contact them, and they'll be more willing to take on students in the future as well. So it's a win-win kind of thing. And as I said, plan in advance as much as possible. We tend to plan our work experience weeks in June, July of 1 year for the following year. And it's booked into the calendar. Everybody knows about it. And we start asking everybody who we're in contact with, can you take a work experience student? And if you've ever met my careers administrator, she is on it and contacting everybody in the planet to basically be able to do it. And And what we have also done is we've used our alumni, so our alumni and our parents. If you've got 5 or more year groups with 100 kids in it, that's 500 people. You know, that's a really good place to start. A lot of people will sort of say, actually, I could take someone for a week. It's free labour. They like it, to be honest. And you know, I think the one thing is as well to try and manage their students' expectations, that they're not expecting to get paid. It is an experience of work. It's up to the employer if they want to give a bonus at the end, which sometimes they do, but don't let them expect it, because or expect to get paid at the end, because then that can put a bad taste in the mouth from the employer's point of view as well. And that is really it, I think. Happy to answer any questions or anything like that. Anybody got any questions at all that they would like to ask?
Thank you, Alison. Let me take the recording off, and then people start asking.